but staying at the same thing and not having anything different to do. If you had this, someone could have a straight job. Someone could be the secretary or just working in the office as the boss, and she could be that, but on the side she's taking martial arts or breakdancing or doing something totally different on the side. That sometimes the two things are separate and they're both there in the life like that. So you can't use the aspect to judge something. You just see, oh, what's that? And you're sensing it. Then you ask the person a few questions and you start to say, oh, it's working like that. When you start to see their responsibilities and what they're doing, you start to, this picture becomes clearer. You can tune into that. But you have to have a sense of the moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, how they're living to really see. You can't see this before you see the other planets. It sort of settles in the back. There's a higher frequency, not seeable, but you can sense it. Okay, we're going to do each of the planets like so. When we get to Neptune, the planet of romance and adventure, of great expectations, but also of great letdowns, of guilt, of sorrows, of dependencies, of sickness, of illness, of addictions, of guilt and sorrow. All these things come from when you don't live up to expectations. But Neptune's the dreamer, the rapture. Wow. In my career as an astrologer, almost 50 years, I've gone through maybe 5, maybe 7 or 8 different times when someone in the world had a group of followings who were sure the world's ending and they were going to go into rapture and they're going to be saved and the world's going to go. And I've met people who were just totally psychically and psychologically attached to this. They were living through this point and coming to see me. And then the point came and went past, and they had to deal with a different reality. Still had the faith, but it wasn't that time, it changed. So Neptune also weakens Saturn. It tempts it, it's the tempter, it's the adventurer, it's the dreamer. It's someone who works like crazy all their life for this dream and never really get it. It's someone else who go and get the dream and they make all the trades to get the dream, but then they have irresponsible people around them. But it tends to be someone, Saturn, Neptune tends to weaken the ambition, and it's inclined to be more in people's charts who are artists or people who are in a social conscious scenario. They can either be helping a social cause and working towards a compassionate cause, or they can be the problem that needs the compassionate cause. But there's the romance. Wow, I met someone they care for me. Well, who matters whether they're working or not? I can't do it. Like the dream comes in, then you go for the dream, but there's no toehold to get anchored. This is like you have AA to fight alcoholics, but then you have the Al-Anon, which lets people. Why do people stay with alcoholics or junkies or people who are in trouble? Because they don't want to let them when they're down or something. The compassion, the dedication, it still takes time. And sometimes the causes are nice ideals, but not everybody's specifically worth it. And you end up getting pulled into a cause or a spiritual group or a rap group, or you get caught in some dream and you got to work for it. You want to be the best rap maker. You want to be able to mix your music or you got to go out. It comes in, but things come in like that. So a lot of musicians and artists will have these type of visions and then they work for it. Nobody really cares, but a few group in the people, but they've got the vision that they've worked towards. That's a good accomplishment. But if you're trying to marry someone with a Saturn Neptune, and you're hoping to have a responsible fixed guy, you're not going to get it. If you get someone that you don't want someone that's that fixed and responsible, that's fine. But the expectation of who's going to do what, how much has to be done, there's a gullibility around it that can be weak in its own authority and responsibilities, or can attract people who are weak in their responsibilities, thinking everybody's coming with you when they're not doing anything. So Neptune confuses and weakens and tempts the normal sense of order and structure. Wow, there's a great concert this weekend. Wow, Angelique Jolie's coming, or somebody special is coming, and we got to go see it. I'll borrow money to get it. So it's easy to go for the dream, but it's hard to live up and pay the costs of the dream or the vision. That's the Neptune Saturn. It confuses responsibilities and weakens or tempts or idealizes commitments or what you think will be responsible. So you can believe that you could work on this and this will work out this way, and you could be totally involved in it for years and it doesn't necessarily work out that way. In its extremes, a lot of people involved in cults get pulled in could have this type of thing. But really, when you're thinking about a kid growing up and trying to be responsible and they're not going to go for a normal practical job. They're going to try and get some social conscience. They're going to try and go for a vision. They're going to be more inclined to artistically elaborate the Saturn rather than make it more real. So that can be evasive around responsibilities, or it can be fanatical about responsibilities. Usually, I would expect to be a little bit laid back. I believe this and that. Yeah, we can get married. Sometimes you might run across this in multi-racial exchanges. Like some of the best loves happen between cultures, between races, but they're not going to get supported by either side, but they're there in the middle, in a bigger openness that they're prepared to work with. That's Neptune Saturn. And then it can be more complicated when the kids start growing up. There are other things. These are things that happen to whole generations. Everybody for a year or so is going to have these aspects when they come up. So teachers, they're going along with a normal thing, and every now and then Saturn, Uranus will be in a certain place. Uranus will hit Saturn, and it'll shake things. That'll be an unstable class for a year or two. And then when Neptune comes along, there'll be a spaced out year or two. Back in the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s, when Saturn and Neptune and Saturn and Uranus were all close to each other. These were piling up. The teachers, it changed the way people taught, but not necessarily for the long-term better. All of a sudden, our education, you send your kids to school, and they're not going to learn math unless you pay for extra classes outside of math. They're not going to learn a lot of things. They're learning how to behave and to react, but the normal structure of teaching's changed.